All right. So thanks for joining me and all of us this for the third session. For those of you that have been here, welcome. Good to see you again. If you're just joining us, I wanted to tell you a little bit about me, who I am. My name is Michael Roach. I'm a digital marketing strategist and consultant, and I'm based in the upstate New York area, in the Albany area. And what I do is work with businesses and nonprofits and help them with their marketing strategy. In addition to that, I'm a past president of the American Marketing Association, Capital Region chapter. I teach classes with topics related to marketing, technology, social media, and business. And other things that I'm involved in, I just have a passion for entrepreneurship and just really be a resource to businesses and nonprofits. So that's a little bit about me. And we'll go ahead and kick off this session, which is about e-commerce. So you probably have already heard of the term e-commerce, but it's always good to kind of talk about what exactly it is involves. Some people think that e-commerce is just PayPal. I think that's certainly maybe one slice of it, but really e-commerce stands for electronic commerce, but it's really the buying of goods of services using the internet. And yeah, it certainly involves transactions that occur across either a website, maybe a website that you own, a platform, maybe it's a platform that was created that was used to create these e-commerce experiences, or a marketplace. Now, for e-commerce, you might have a lot of different business models that you could possibly use. Maybe you sell directly to customers, maybe you do a direct to customer. You might have various different business model for different business and different industries. But really, again, this has to do with buying of goods and services across the internet. And you need to get these products or services, these goods, to your customer, maybe by shipping it to them or some sort of delivery. And I mean, that has to be part of your business model and figured out, which we'll talk about a little bit later. A lot of times people think that e-commerce is like a new thing, like it just started at the start of the internet is what we might think of, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, but it really goes back to the 1970s, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And for no other reason just to put Shaft in the slides, that was like a really good excuse to do that. But yeah, it does go back to the 1970s. Early e-commerce has its origins going back to as far as 1979 in the UK, when some person who was interested in selling, doing transactions online, hooked up a modified television to a computer to handle transactions. And this was done over a phone line, not like what we're used to these days, or over a modem. And eventually this turned into a B2B system that was sold in parts of Europe like Spain and Ireland and other parts out that way. Eventually, the first e-commerce business that was created sold used computers in an online market in 1982. So, I mean, just by looking at, this from 1982 to 1992, the launch of Barnes & Noble's e-commerce store in 1997, you can see that it does have early beginnings. Way into the 2000s, of course, when you have things like Google AdWords, Shopify, Amazon Prime, and Etsy, and a few others. All right, so it does have quite a long history. There are some big advantages of e-commerce on why you might want to use this as part of your business if you don't already. Some great advantages is that, for one, you'll be able to enable coupons, bargains, and promotional kinds of campaigns with some of the products that you would sell over e-commerce. You can process many orders at one time. You might not necessarily need a large staff to do that as well. With e-commerce businesses, you can tend to scale them very quickly. So you can do many transactions over a period of 1 hour and not necessarily have like a long line that you might have, you know, like if you were in a physical location of customers that need to be served one by one. Really, the e-commerce platform is handling those transactions automatically. And you do have a lower maintenance cost than a physical store if you do have an e-commerce store. Not that there aren't any costs associated with e-commerce. There certainly are. I don't want to give you the impression that e-commerce is a free thing, because you might have costs like, you know, website hosting, maintenance, security, shipping of your products if you have physical products, you know, marketing costs with other platforms, like maybe purchasing digital ads or paying for paid social. So there are some costs on the e-commerce side for sure. Other things, you can do 24/7 sales if your products and services are available and in stock on your e-commerce platform, which is pretty cool. As opposed to, you know, having a physical location, you might not be open all the time. In fact, sales can come in when you are literally sleeping. So that can be pretty cool in terms of e-commerce. You can respond very quickly to customer demands. This is a big advantage of e-commerce. And I'll give you an example. If customers start saying that they want more of a product, you can maybe order that. If you get a lot of demand for it, you can order it and bring it into your inventory and then serve customers in that fashion. On the other hand, if there are products that they don't like, or you're getting complaints about defects of your products, then you can respond quickly and remove them from your inventory. You can also sell internationally, which is a big advantage. And finally, you can offer a personalized experience. For example, when people come onto your website or your platform, you can have them sign in, have the platform remember their past purchases or past history, and maybe their shipping locations, their address. There's some really interesting comments coming in on the chat, and I wanted to make sure I profiled those. Just people talking about starting out with a platform called Patreon and using PayPal, which is pretty cool. We'll get into a little bit about some of the platforms that you might use for e-commerce. And some other folks are also using e-commerce and soon to be launching with their merch in August, which is pretty cool. There's someone mentioning a platform called Equid, which is one of the more famous e-commerce platforms. And a lot of times when you're thinking of e-commerce, you might be thinking, well, okay, does it have to be like physical products? They can be services too. They could be digital services or digital downloads or digital products. So you might offer services and not products. So thank you so much, everyone. So with the advantages of e-commerce, there are some really great ones. There are also some disadvantages, of course. So since a lot of your business is being done over the internet, well, when there's no internet, that is like really bad. So a website crash, if your website crashes or there's no internet or slow internet, that can be really disastrous for your business. In fact, you might not necessarily have a physical location. That would even be worse in many cases, so that you you wouldn't have a way to serve customers. So it's really important that you have some sort of backup, or have a way to offer some sort of security to prevent your website from being accessed in an unauthorized fashion. Okay. It's difficult to provide trials before people purchase something on your e-commerce platform, because you might have a product that has a cost associated with it. It may be hard to, like maybe a piece of clothing. It's hard to provide a trial for that. In an e-commerce marketplace, it's highly competitive. Just see, there's a little bit of static here on, or some additional noise on one of the windows there. Okay, thank you. It's very, very competitive marketplace. You have other competitors that are looking to outpace you, outperform you, sell to your customers and looking to poach them. So you have to be really aggressive in e-commerce, because you even have large, maybe big box stores or big box companies trying to compete for the same customers that you are. So it's very highly competitive. So you really have to be aggressive with your security and credibility, of course, I mentioned earlier. With e-commerce, it's hard to provide a personal touch to your service, because a lot of the transactions are being done online, and how do you say thank you? I mean, you could potentially say thank you in terms of an email or an autoresponder, but still, some people say that it does lack a personal touch. You can try to find ways to automate that, and really, if you are a customer and you receive something that says thank you for being a valued customer, I would probably do that rather than not do that, just to show that you are thinking about your customer. Here is a quick question that we have here in the chat. I wanted to quickly address that. What are examples of other options to do business in case of internet outages? That's a really good question. So if your website does go completely down, you can offer a phone type of support, where you can have people call you and do orders over the phone, if that's possible. Of course, you need to get the phone number that you have to them. So if you're able to access your website and maybe take it down, but also put up a number that people can call if they want to still place an order, then you can do that over the phone. Other times, if you have a physical location, you can have people stop in store and do it that way. If you run a really hyper-local business and you have people that you may deliver to, you might also engage them face-to-face, maybe in a marketplace, or maybe in an emergency pop-up, which could be like a great, almost kind of like PR campaign. If you can turn that crisis into a good situation by creating like a pop-up, if you have the right permits, of course. So those are some examples of some options that you could use in case your internet does receive an outage. I also wanted to mention too, another thing you can do that you have available to you is your social media. You can post information there, like your phone number and any other details about where you can direct or redirect some of your customers if they want to do orders with you. And the other thing that you have available to you, if you do have a mailing list, you can email your customers and let them know that you're experiencing problems with your website. And if you're in business for yourself, this does happen from time to time, when you might have to reach out to customers and let them know that you're experiencing an outage and that you're looking to get it resolved as soon as possible. So great question. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, I just wanted to pop in real quick. I
Yeah.
was just curious. So Denise, if you could potentially get yourself off of mute. It says that you're using Shopify, but you want to use Etsy. I just wanted to see kind of why you're looking to merge over to Etsy versus Shopify, because that may be either something that someone else is contemplating, or, you know, they can just hear kind of the differences with the platforms.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I sell handmade clothes and accessories. I do knitting and crocheting. And so Etsy is a marketplace for handmade things. I have Shopify, and I don't really get sales because I don't really promote it. My website really needs a lot of help. But Etsy, I just think it's a different market, but I'm really not sure of what I should do. I was thinking about using Etsy as well as Shopify if I decide to add other products. Okay.
Okay.
Andrea said she uses both. Okay. That's what I'm thinking.
Michael, any suggestions based on her particular type of items?
That's a pretty interesting situation. My thoughts would be, with Etsy, I do think that it is a great platform or marketplace to sell things like, handmade products, things that are, produced or created with, detail and care, extreme, detail. So I do think Etsy is a great platform for that. The thing that I'm not so crazy about with Etsy is that you're competing against so many other, makers and creators there that you can sometimes be lost in the shuffle. Like if you go there and you're trying to search for something, you might see all these other great things as a customer that are trying to steal away your attention. So you have to work even that much harder. On Shopify, however, that you're creating, your place, your space for you to sell your products, your store. So you can send people there to your store and they won't be distracted by other makers' products. So, I mean, those are some advantages and disadvantages that I would say. And I think having both is a good strategy too, where you might sell a certain class of your products on Etsy, and then maybe have another class of your products on Shopify, or maybe all of your products on Shopify. So that might be an interesting strategy too.
Also, Mike,
sorry.
I have, I'm in a brick and mortar, and I did that for the winter, but I have a mobile boutique that by May, I'll bring that back out. And so I'm traveling with I have the store on wheels as well.
Oh.
So I really have to make some decisions because this is the first year that I'm doing this. My main focus is really the truck, especially for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, what do you think about how I should move forward with that?
Wow. So I think if you have a mobile, presence or a truck in that sense, I think you having like an in-person, face-to-face interaction with customers, I think is really cool. I think it adds a dimension to what you sell. And in a lot of ways, you saying that you're going to be in a city or, in a location, that's like an opportunity to market. That's an opportunity for press. And so I think there's a lot of different ways that you can, leverage, all three of those experiences, the online in a marketplace, the online with your own website, closed off to that competition, and then with an in-person experience. And that way, with an in-person experience, you can even do a lot of stuff with video to bring people into your store so they can, or to your location, to your mobile truck so they can experience some of your products.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you,
You're
everyone,
welcome.
for your input as well.
And Denise, it looks like Courtney makes a good point. She says that she's heard that Etsy fees can get very high.
Okay.
So she'd suggest to really just go over your prices, make sure you're still earning a profit after all the fees when you get a sale.
Okay.
That may also indicate which platform is going to be the most convenient for you, or which type of items you use on those specific platforms.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Michael, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no worries, no worries. That was a really great question, and some really great comments from folks in the chat here. And I hear some people say redirect to the website from Etsy. Someone suggesting Shopify because it gives you more focus on your customers to provides you with data to sell more. So these are really great comments, and it's good to hear from people who use a lot of these platforms day to day. So thank you. To continue with this slide, because this gentleman's expression is not, it's probably not something everyone wants to see at lunchtime, or, we want to see happy faces, right? So I just want to add a couple of other things on this one slide, is that with e-commerce, a couple of other disadvantages. You have to navigate like this can be considered complex tax compliance and a lot of regulations from state to state or from country to country if you do e-commerce sales. And sometimes your margins are a little lower because customers are trying to see where they can get a deal. So it might force you to lower your prices because a lot of your competitors are offering products around a certain price, so that might force you to lower your prices. So those are some of the disadvantages. When looking at your brick and mortar, comparing it to your website, and sometimes there are businesses that have both. And I think if you do have both, like I said, it can bring an interesting element or experience to your business and to your customers. What I thought I'd do is kind of create a table and kind of do like one versus the other in this case. Or in this case, if you would have a storefront, it would be your front of your building, your place where you'd create your first impression. In your storefront, you might have a window with some signage. If it's well lit, that's even better. It's kind of synonymous to what you would have on a homepage, where you would have imagery, you would have a headline like your sign, and ways that would attract people to come into the building or come into the rest of the website or look at some of the other pages. If you have a storefront, the layout of your store, if you have a directory, maybe you have aisles where you can find certain things. When you look up, like in a grocery store, you see where certain things are located. That's kind of similar to what you would have in a navigation on a menu on your website. Of course, you might have a store sign, just like your business name. Your sales sign might be a banner or banners that you use to advertise certain things on your website. And yes, you can advertise on your own website with banners. A lot of people kind of forget to do that, or they don't think that they can do that. You can offer things like certain sales or promotions or promo codes on areas of your website as advertisement. Last week, we talked about Google Analytics as far as a analytics tool to learn about how people are viewing your website, accessing certain pages. That's synonymous or similar to what you might have for store data. When you're ringing up customers on a cash register, how many customers come in to the store, how many sales do you do on a particular day. If you have data on where people are ordering from, that's data that you can use to learn more about your customers. And on your website, you might have like a chat feature or a chat bot. That might be synonymous to customer service. A chat bot is like a term that has to do with like an automated chat interactive widget that can help you answer questions for your potential customers or your customers. If someone's running into trouble, or if they need additional help, or they need maybe a certain link to help them fix something or to send something in, your chat bot could do something like that. Now, someone said here, and thank you, Krista, you're a completely digital business, and your mech will be sold through a third party. Merch. Okay. So yeah, you want to come off mute and just tell us what?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Of course, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you want to just ask us your question?
Yeah, so all of our merch, we haven't decided what platform we're going to use yet, whether it's going to be Redbubble or Society6 to sell our unique designs. It's just t-shirts, wall art to start off, that kind of thing, mugs. So since that's going to all be done through a third party, should we link from our website, from the main drop down, just have a button straight to the merch store like we do for our Patreon? Or should we have a single like page on our website that shows our latest offerings, and then those offerings link to the merch store?
Wow, that's a great question. So it sounds like if you have product pages on your website, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, either like a single product page. We're gonna roll things out in kind of a stacked over a few months. Like we'll introduce new things each quarter. So like a page just showcasing our most recent stuff while people are still on the website, and they might be more inclined then to go to the store once they actually see it on their website. Or should we just have one button that goes straight to the merch store and no product pages on the website?
Right. I would probably opt for the product pages, so the individual pages, because I think that will give you the opportunity to be found as Google is continuing to index your website and picking up these keywords that you're using on the product page. If you're putting those content rich or keyword rich keywords into your web page, as people are searching for these things, Google will pick that up and send traffic to those product pages and those pages on the site. So I do think that's beneficial. If you just have the button, I don't think that gives people things to read. It doesn't keep them on it doesn't sound like it keeps them on the site long enough, or creates a lot of value for them to keep browsing.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. That was a really great question. And that makes me think that sometimes it's maybe not as easy as just launching an e-commerce store and then calling it a day, right? Sometimes we might have to deal with a third-party site and then our site, and then sometimes there are multiple pieces. So it's a lot to think about when you're creating an e-commerce part of your business. So great question. Here's another question. Can you introduce a new product? Ludlow, would you like to come off mute and ask your question? If you can.
I'm not sure if he's having trouble unmuting, but
Can you hear me?
oh, there you go. You kind of
Yes.
sound muffled.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Basically, we'd like to launch a new type of baby potty.
Oh, Ludlow, sorry, you're muffled again.
I potty training.
You're still a little muffled. I think what we might do is I'll just go ahead and read the question. We're having trouble hearing you. So Ludlow asks, can you introduce a new product without selling, but to get response about pricing? and specific types of potential product that customers may like. Also, can you request contact info like phone number to notify when these products fully launch? So to answer the first part of that question, you can introduce a new product without having to, sell, just bring it out into the market and then see what happens. In a way that will give you a chance to see if people want this. I don't necessarily think that's a great strategy all the time. And I'll tell you why. If it takes a lot of resources to make this product, like your costs are high to make, this product or a number of these products, then you're really hedging a bet. And I know that in a lot of ways, being in business is about taking risks. That risk might be a little too big to take if the cost to create that product is a lot. Now, if it's something that you can create inexpensively and then put in your marketplace or in your market to sell it to your customer and see if they would like to buy it, that's something I might take a risk on. So I hope that helps in terms of that. And I'm curious to know what the product is, if you could throw that in the chat, or what types of products you sell. And in terms of the second part of that question, can you request contact info like phone number to notify when these products fully launch? Yes, I think that's a fantastic idea. My thinking has always been, if you can launch or let's say pre-launch a product and put people on a waiting list, have people pay for something today that they can get later. If you can do that and you have enough of a compelling story behind that product on why people would want to give you their money today for something that they're not going to have today, that they're going to get in the future, I say go for it. But when it's time, deliver on that promise or that product that you say that you're going to make available. So yes, you can put them on a waiting list. You can have them fill out a form. You can have them sign up for your mailing list and email them regularly and let them know that, hey, this product is 10 days away or 7 days away, and do a countdown, and even do that on social media just to keep people excited. So I hope that answers your question, Ledlow. Thank you so much. We have another question here about, does e-commerce work well for selling services, or any adjustments need to be done? So remind me, what kind of services, Mayra?
Maida, you could feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's more like professional services, like consulting or doing some coaching.
Uh-huh.
So it's not something that I'm not doing training, anything, but special programs that probably the period is 6 months period. And this kind of coaching is not something that I will do a prom or something. It's more like, let me connect with you, see your needs, and start building something from there.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for adding that extra detail. So to answer your question, yes, e-commerce does work well for those kinds of services, especially when you have your services set up like a menu that people can buy from. But you want to be careful that you don't write it in such a way or present it in such a way that people think of it like a commodity, like, I can just buy one of those and buy another one of those. You really want to show them that, this is something that they can purchase, part of your service, but it does take time. It does require resources, and they're getting so much value as a result of this. Another way you can do this is if you do like a demo of what the services may be, like a quick sales call, and then give them an idea of what the cost will be, so that the cost or the price is not, like listed on your website. So I think there are a bunch of different ways that you could do it, and then still do the e-commerce on your website. It's just
Okay.
where the prices may be hidden.
Okay, that was my next question. Is should I show the price? Because it will depend.
Right. Yes. So yeah, that's also a great follow-up question. There are times when, the price, showing the price will immediately scare people away. And we see this quite a bit in software services or software as a service, websites that you go to and you want to purchase maybe like a video tool, like a webinar tool. Some of these webinar tools for you to do webinars for your business, they tell you what the price is. It's $999 a month, or $300 a month, whatever it is. And some tell you request a demo, so that you can talk with sales, and they want to find out more about you. Not so they can get their hooks into you, but they want to learn more about your business, and then sometimes give you a quote on what the pricing will be, or sometimes it's just what the pricing will be. But that immediate pricing might scare you away, and scare some customers away. So the other thing I would say about pricing too, before we move on, and with a couple of other comments, is sometimes you need to play with your pricing so that you can understand if people are buying at this amount. Some people play with even pricing, and some do odd pricing. Some do something that costs $29.99 versus $30, or $29.77. If you it depends on what it is. Something that costs $10,000, versus $9,999.00. So you might want to play with your pricing. If you put that on your website, you'll be constantly changing it and having to explain why you changed it. So it's just a couple of things to think about. Great question. Thank you so much. Someone mentioned a Mighty Network. Yes, Mighty Network. Thank you so much for mentioning that. They say it's great for selling membership courses and creating a community for your clients. It's a virtual home for previous, current, and future clients to be engaged. Yeah, the Mighty Networks is a fantastic place to create a community. And I hear a lot of folks having success with that. So these community network types of platforms, they come with a cost. So just, I would say, do your research, and hear from other people using those platforms to see what kind of benefit they are getting out of it. And I would also say too, like, if you do want to use a platform that is like a community platform, content. If you don't have content, it's going to be hard for you to attract people to get on those platforms, even for a free membership. So if you have content, that's going to attract them. So thank you so much for mentioning. Great comments, great questions. All right. We were talking about comparing website to brick and mortar. Here's some other ones before I continue to move on. Your website cart versus your checkout counter. Your recommendations that people might have that you might offer on your website, just to give people ideas on what to shop for, or maybe you can ask them for recommendations, or you can do surveys. You can actually do surveys in both places. You can offer a website search where people can search for their own products, or have a clever navigational system, versus having customer service personnel or store clerk to kind of be around to answer questions. Also, I would say, having a store clerk to ring people out versus, your e-commerce platform just doing it automatically. at any hour of the day. Your website might have colors, and your storefront might have, the thing that you're selling, your overall ambience of your brick and mortar. Your homepage graphics might be synonymous to the overall culture of your storefront. Like, what are you trying to say in general about, the way you do business and why you're here, why you started this business, your mission, your vision, kind of thing. And then finally, you might have a contact page, maybe with a nice Google map, and additional ways that you can be contacted with your social media links, of course, versus a help desk where someone is there to kind of answer questions, and you might have brochures there. So this is just a quick comparison of website versus brick and mortar, and just looking at some of the things that may be kind of synonymous to each other. Before we get into this, a lot of times I would say that I run into businesses that say, I have a business already, can I do an e-commerce business? Or, I have a certain type of product that's highly regulated, can I do that over e-commerce? There's a lot of questions about e-commerce. How do you know if you're ready for an e-commerce business? Maybe you don't have a storefront or a brick and mortar, and you just want to launch an e-commerce business together just by itself, right? There's some things that you absolutely do need. And this list is a little bit more than this, but at the very least, you have to have a business name. If you don't have a business name, then how do people find you, right? And you have to show that people want the things that you have, that you're offering. If you start a business, even if it's not an e-commerce business, and you haven't determined that people want the things that you are selling, then you might run into some difficulties there. So you want to be sure of that. It's also good to maybe consider writing a business plan if you're starting an e-commerce business, or any business for that matter. It's a good idea to have a good domain name and a user-friendly website. If you have a domain name that has plenty of hyphens in it and numbers where they should be written, or it's just a little confusing, it might be hard for people to remember how to get to you. And you need to have a user-friendly website so that people can access your products, your services, especially if they're on a mobile device. It's necessary for you to have some sort of business structure where if you're doing business to consumer or business to business or direct to business, and all of these different kinds of structures that are out there. You may need to have an EIN. Maybe you're an LLC. Maybe you're a solopreneur, a solo proprietor rather. Maybe you need a business license and a permit. If you have a certain type of e-commerce business. And for someone that can produce their own products and have inventory, that's a great type of situation to be ready to create an e-commerce business. If you have products to sell, that's great. If you have them in inventory and you can get them from where you have it to your customer, that's even better. And if that cost is low enough for you to still make a profit, that's even better. So these are just some ideas to think about if you're thinking about starting an e-commerce business. So there were a couple of comments I just wanted to make sure. There was someone that said something about patent pending series of baby toilet potty training potty units.
That was Ludlow. Mhm.
Okay.
The product
Thank
that
you.
he has.
Right. Thank you, Ludlow. So curious to see how all of that works out with launching those products on your site. Thank you. And thank you so much for attaching that start a business plan template, which is going to be pretty helpful for any business looking to start up their new venture.
No worries. Just for anyone that does download the file, do not be alarmed. It is a lengthy template. It's probably like 30 pages, but it's not actually 30 pages of a business plan. Each section gives you directions on how to fill it out, what kind of information you're going to want to place there. So I just like to put that disclaimer out. Because mostly, when you download something, you open it, it's 30 pages, you're like, never mind, I changed my mind. So do not change your mind, look it over if you need a business plan, just in case.
Right. Thank you. So we've been chatting for a while now, this afternoon, today, I should say, and we've been talking a little bit about Shopify. Someone mentioned Ecwid. I think there was maybe Etsy. Somebody mentioned Etsy. So yeah, these are some platforms that you should totally know. Here's some more: Squarespace, WooCommerce, Wix, Big Cartel, BigCommerce, Kartra, Samcart. So there are a lot. There are a lot of platforms out there. The trick is, how do you figure out if the pricing makes sense? You need to understand what your transaction fees are. You need to be able to know how you're going to ship some of these things to your customer if you do that kind of e-commerce. Does it support digital downloads? Things like that. Can you build product pages that are SEO rich or rich with search engine optimization? Can you do things beyond just selling on a website, like create shoppable content on social media platforms? So, these are some things to consider if you look at some of these e-commerce platforms. All right.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Maida asks, would PayPal be considered e-commerce?
Absolutely. PayPal would definitely be considered an e-commerce platform. That is a great question. And yeah, that's a good one to add to this slide for sure. PayPal, I would say, over the last 4 or 5 years has added some really cool things, like the ability to, of course, invoice people as your business, but also do things like ability to create QR codes and do recurring billing and a whole bunch of other things. So yes, I would totally add PayPal to this list. Okay, another great question just came through. As a beginner to SEO or search engine optimization, would you recommend trying to do it all yourself or hiring someone? That is an amazing question. So yeah, search engine optimization has to deal with you organizing your content in a way that makes the search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing find you when people do perform searches. So as a beginner to SEO, I would say if you've already done some of the learning of what it is and how to improve some of that on your website, I would say make those changes yourself if you could. If you feel confident enough, go ahead and make those changes. Some of these SEO things, if you haven't done them before, are in a lot of ways considered low-hanging fruit. They're simple things like putting some of your location on your website and your meta description. If people are searching for you locally, they need to know that you're in the city of Rochester or the city of Buffalo or Syracuse, or where exactly you're located. Sometimes that makes a difference if you're selling, even if you're e-commerce, if you're selling locally. Sometimes putting that local information is helpful. Other things that you want to do is put some of the keywords in your content that you want to be found for, or that people might be searching for you And you having your about page, having people understand about the company and not leaving a lot of pages blank. So putting in some of these keyword or creating content rich pages that have some of these keywords for the things that you want to be found for when people search for you. So I would try doing some of that. I would say try to address some of those low hanging fruit at first, because a lot of these platforms make it available to you. Beyond that, there may be times when you do need to hire someone and outsource some of that work. If you're doing a lot of blog writing, I think blog articles in general are good for SEO, and they can bring you a lot of traffic from Google. That might be something that you might want to outsource or hire someone to do, because writing articles may not be the best use of your time, depending on what business you're in. So for the easy stuff, for the low-hanging fruit, I would say look up the SEO resources that you can and address those within the platform. And then beyond that, hire someone to do it. But those small changes that you make today are really going to start to help you be found. And it's not going to be immediate, but it will help tremendously. It's a great question. All right. So we covered some e-commerce platforms, and you're welcome. And let's take a look at, how to make your website a store. Well, there's a lot of things here, but really you have to have a user-friendly website. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Having pages, having posts like blog articles and other content, that's gonna help create a website that people wanna not just visit to do a transaction, but come back to visit so that they can read more about the things on why they look for you in the first place. Maybe you're helping them solve an ongoing problem or address an ongoing problem or challenge that they have, and your product helps them do that. Having products in your store that are valuable, useful, affordable, and of good quality, that's a big help for making your website a store. You can have a way for customers to purchase, certainly with credit card. You might offer other ways for them to pay, maybe by you can do something like by cash, or they can come in, pay for it, and then you can ship it to them. You might want to experiment with other payment methods. Certainly online payment like PayPal. Some are using Venmo and the Cash App and all these other services, and just taking credit cards in general. Way for your customer to get your products. Are you going to ship it? Are they going to pick it up? Are you going to have some other maybe delivery options for local customers? That could be interesting too. Method of providing customer service. And we're going to talk about customer service in a short while. You do have to address that, because people will, I don't want to say complain, but there's always the customer that has an issue. And the last thing you want to do is leave that issue unresolved. We're not perfect, right? And there are times when we do make mistakes, and it's common to have an unhappy customer, but you have to have a method of providing customer service. And I should say, customer service is not just about having, customers that complain. It's also about having great customers that you continue to delight, and you are extremely helpful to, and that you see great value in creating a relationship with. You need to certainly think about arranging a way to collect taxes on sales, depending on your region and your state. Launching your store. Okay, how do you launch your store and let people know about it, market it, let people know about your products and services? If you are creating your website and turning it into an e-commerce store. And then, do you have a plan for acquiring more customers? Because you don't want to be stuck with, I don't want to say stuck, but you don't want to be, you can't just survive on, a limited number of customers. You always want to be thinking about growing that customer base, growing the customer list. How will people find you on your website? There's a lot of things that you can do. And this is just a small sampling, a small list of what you can do. You can do organic and paid social media. We were talking about social media last session, about organic social media. Next week, we get into paid social media and, just paid digital advertising. If you do organic social media and paid social media, you will start to attract people and tell them about your site. You can post, of course, your homepage or tell people how to find your site, but you can also share things about products, specific products, and why they should learn more about a product. You can show them or give them a link to a product and offer them a promo code. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. You can let them know about your mailing list, your how great your customer service is. Of course, it should be great, right? Organic website content. This is content kind of along the lines of SEO that's on your website that tells people about your business and again about the challenges and the issues that you help people solve. Your e-commerce website should not just consist of product pages. And that's it. I think you need to have something else in addition to that tells a story, maybe the history of the company, bios, who the team members are, who is the CEO and founder, those kinds of things, and more. Digital advertising, yes, I think it's that can be effective for people to help find your website. Offline advertising, if you do things like signs, posters, billboards, digital billboards. If you're doing things like public relations and outreach, where if you are maybe launching something and you think it's newsworthy, then creating a PR opportunity out of it. Doing like a press release for certain kinds of newsworthy items. Maybe you have a creative approach and you want to create a campaign to spread your message. Campaigns can really help in that sense when you're thinking about maybe using maybe paid social and some of these other kinds of things. Maybe you turn it into a specific month or a week of savings or something like that. Search engine optimization, of course, is a great way for people to find you. If people are searching for things around your product. Podcasts and radio. Now, what am I saying here? Podcasts and radio. I'll give you an example. If you, as the business owner, shows up as a guest on a number of podcasts, well, that's going to help people find your business a lot easier because each podcast that you are a guest on has an audience, and that audience is just going to become more and more aware of who you are and the products that you have. Big bonus if you can offer the audience of that podcast special promotional service or promotion to a product. So these are some ways that you can help people find your website. And this is just a small list. Once you are getting people to come to your website, that's great. These are elements that are going to help foster sales. It's great to have a website with products, but things like animations can help foster sales, like showing people how easy it is to buy, or something that will gain their visual attention to make them purchase something. Using certain imagery, videos, maybe you create a loyalty program. Some of these things will help you foster sales. Even an email marketing list is pretty important. Someone asked earlier about launching a product without having to see if people bought it first, or launching a product that you haven't sold yet. Well, you could just put it out there, Or you can do something like this, create a survey and ask people what they might be interested in purchasing. And that might help you lead to further sales. Things like pop-ups, augmented reality, doing subscriptions, even free shipping if you offer it, can also help foster sales. So these are, I would not say that these are okay to haves. I would say these are really good to haves or must haves if you're thinking about really creating sales opportunities with e-commerce website. Customer service. Now, how could I talk about digital marketing and e-commerce without covering a little bit about customer service? Well, it really, if you have any kind of business, you should be concerned about customer service. But here are some basics, 7 of them. Never argue with a customer. Instead, try to find a way that you can offer a solution to their issue. I'm always curious to hear, of folks just in chat. Thumbs up if you've had to learn about customer service, or if you've had customer service situations as a business. Just a quick thumbs up or say hey in the chat. All right. The other basic here is look for ways to build rapport with your customer. It will help you create and maintain a positive relationship with them. Building that rapport might be as simple as knowing more details about them, like if they have a family, or if they have a favorite sport, or just some personal details, not too personal, of course, but you just want to learn a little bit more about your customer. Be responsive to their needs. The faster you respond, the more they will appreciate it, and this is certainly very true. If it takes you weeks to respond to customers, if they have an immediate need, or they can't get their product, or their product is damaged, or whatever it is, they will be unhappy, and they may tell others about their experience. So you certainly don't want to do that. You want to be responsive to their needs. Communicate clearly and in a concise way. Be respectful, of course, but seem natural. You don't want to appear forced, and you want to try to be conversational. And don't take conversational for meaning that you want to say, hey, what's up, homie? Right? You don't want to say that. You want to be conversational and not want to be human in how you communicate to them. Other customer service basics: practice patience with your customer always, especially when they are confused, angry, frustrated, and upset. You don't want to appear impatient, or do things like roll your eyes, or tilt your head, or just hold your head. Some of these body language kinds of things show that you're also angry, confused, and maybe frustrated with the customer. So you never want to do that. You always want to practice patience. Use positive language with your customers. Say what you can do, not what you can't. And last but not least, know your products and services thoroughly and the features. That product knowledge that you do have is going to be communicated to your customer, and it's just going to create a great customer experience for them. So let's do a quick exercise. I just want to get a sense in the chat. How would you handle a customer who emails about a defective product they receive? What do you say? What's that one sentence that you might respond to them in? I'm always curious about that. So in the chat, if you could, one sentence or just a quick idea, how would you handle a customer who emails about a defective product they receive? Okay. One idea in this regard may be to apologize immediately, express concern, express worry. I'm sorry. Sorry for this defective product. But you also need to show that you're willing to resolve their issue about this defective product right away. So that is helpful. I'm seeing a comment here in the chat. Thank you so much. One person here says, Patrick says, that you'd refund them their money if you're intending to sell large quantities of a product, because it would be less of a hassle. Okay, that's an interesting way to do it too. Refunding their money can be very effective.
We
Okay.
have another one. I
Yes.
think it was direct message by accident, but it says, "Hi, how are you? I'm sorry for the issue you're incurring. Can you explain further what's going on with the product?" So that'll be
Okay.
good to start a conversation and see kind of what is happening.
Yes. Very good. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Another person says, replace a defective product. All right. That was Lori Ann. Sarah Frazier says, thank you for your purchase. I sincerely apologize. You are unhappy with your purchase. How can I make this experience better for you? I love that. I love that one, because you get to ask the customer what's going to make it better for them, rather than you coming up with something that they're going to be like, meh, I don't want that. Right? So I think that could be an effective one, and you help you make them decide what's going to make them happy. So that's a great one. And of course, replacing the defective products, sometimes no questions asked. That is great. Great feedback, everyone. Thank you. A customer wants you to carry a product that doesn't fit your store offerings. What do? I'm always curious to hear what people have to say about that. Do you just shrug your shoulders and be like, not my thing, not my problem? Or, how do you go about, dealing with that? So curious to know what you would do to resolve that or address that.
We do have
Go
one
ahead.
in the chat already.
Yeah. Yes.
Lori Ann says, refer the customer to a reputable company that offers it. That's nice.
Okay, I like that.
Mhm.
Okay. And Krista says, I would thank them for their input and genuinely consider if that product or others like it might have a place in some way, and see if you can incorporate their input in another way. Okay. All right. Thank you, Krista. Patrick says, refer them to a contact that does offer it. Okay. That's great. Great piece of feedback there. So these are I love these answers, because they're about solving problems rather than inflaming it, right? So these are these are great answers. It's like Miracle on 34th Street. Yes. Sarah says, thank you for your inquiry on my products. I apologize, I do not offer that, but here are some recommended businesses that do. So yeah, these are great feedback lines here. I like how a lot of people have said thanking them, because it took them some time to write you and say that they want you to carry a thing, and they might already be a customer too. So thanking them for the time that they emailed you is a great thing. But then I think going a step further and then offering them or referring them to another place, that's even more valuable. So who knows? They might just turn around and say, well, I'm going to continue to do business with you because you helped me out. Great responses. And then last but not least, one of your favorite customers is your biggest promoter and referral source. What do you do to show your appreciation? So I'd love to see some responses there in the chat. Your biggest promoter and your referral source. How do you tell them thank you? All right. So as those start to pile up in the chat area, I'm going to go over the e-commerce dues. You certainly want to make your website store safe, secure, and trusted with an SSL certificate. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer, It's a lot of technical stuff behind what it does with, encryption. I'm gonna skip that, but all I'm gonna say is that it just gives an added sense of security that when someone puts their credit card information or personal information to a website, that it's not being used openly to some unauthorized users. It does show that you are thinking about the user's safety. Of course, use high quality photos of your products. I can't tell you how many websites, e-commerce websites I've gone to where they're built with, some really good platforms like Wix, Squarespace, Ecwid, Shopify, and you click on these products and they're blurry or pixelated. So the higher quality photos you have, the better you will do in terms of your sales. And there is data to back it up. For sure, that high quality photos do make a difference. If you can shoot the photos yourself or arrange for a photographer to create high quality photos of your products, if you sell those things, that's helpful. Ensure your e-commerce website is mobile friendly because a lot of people will be accessing your website through mobile devices. In terms of don'ts, don't cram too many products on one page. Sometimes you can have a layout that shows your store with maybe 4 items per line or per row. Some do some people I've seen like 50 products. That's just too much. So you might want to find a way to just avoid cramming too many products on one page. It's just visually too hard to view. Utilize categories so users can sort through and filter products on your e-commerce website. Help make it easy for them to find your products. And finally, don't skimp on your important policy website pages like terms and conditions, privacy policy, return policy, and a help center. If you are selling internationally, you're selling locally, you want to have this. But if you're selling internationally, you absolutely must have one of these privacy policy things, especially if you're trying to sell to customers in Europe, because they do have a lot of regulations concerning privacy, like GDPR, and how you handle other pieces of their marketing information. So those are e-commerce do's and don'ts. I have resources that you can find on my website at michaelroachcreative.com/resources. There you can find all kinds of downloads, like guides, worksheets, templates, courses, even. Lots of goodies there. And I'm going to leave this open for Q&A while there's time. And I just want to notice here too, before we do Q&A, there were some great responses here in the chat about the ways to offer your customer some sort of way to say thanks, to show your appreciation. I see things like promo code and early access to a new product. I love that. Birthday club discounts, also a great one. Make a special offer for them, definitely, right? Make them a preferred customer with discounts. Oh, I love that. Family and friends discount. That's also a great one too. And finally, there are a couple more. Subscription discount, friends and family, promo code up to 2 or 3 people for one purchase. Also, these are really great comments. And then last but not least, show your appreciation by giving a huge discount for future purchases based on total sales from the customers referred by my favorite customer. Okay, fantastic. These are some great ideas. So I don't know about you, but I think saving the chat would be a great idea for this session so that you can have these goodies for later, right? Questions and answers. And thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and hanging out today for this marketing session on e-commerce. How can I answer any questions?
Feel free to unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat if you'd like. Also, as Michael mentioned, saving the chat. If you are on desktop and you don't know how to do that, just go down to the three little dots, the ellipsis, and you click on it and it'll say save chat. So let me know if anybody is having any issues. And do we have any questions? Comments, concerns? Nothing. I see thank yous.
Thank you.
People returning to work. Awesome. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, just want to again fill you guys in. Obviously, if this is your first time with us, the Enterprise Center at PathStone, we are a financial lender. So outside of all the technical assistance that we provide and the free workshops that we provide, if you're looking to start or grow your business, we are an option for financing. So I did put all of our links, basically how you can get in contact with us in the chat. So we have our website there. Obviously follow us on social media. That way we can follow you back and see, kind of keep up with you and what you're doing with your business. All of this stuff is available on our YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe so you can get the notification once this is posted. And then if you have any questions regarding this class, any of our upcoming programs or any lending, feel free to send me an email. I also put that in the chat. We have a couple of people coming in. Let me see. And that's all we have for you today.